Hello, thanks, Phil. My name's Matt, and I was a friend of Ken Brown's. I said somewhere that Ken and I had an affinity for each other, which is true. But I think the literal meaning of it is sort of like where I ended, he began, and where he ended, I began. Because there was like, we were kind of opposites that had a part of the other guy in us too. So I think that's why we worked so well together, and we were just buddies. We liked each other. We liked hanging out, you know. And I'm sorry to have seen the way he went, but he was not a guy who would compromise, and a lot of the legends and heroes we grew up believing in were like that. They were not compromising individuals. They lived the way they wanted to live. And so that's how Ken lived. And we're all the better for knowing him, and very glad that he didn't go many years before that. So I'm glad that I got to spend the time with him that I did. One of the hardest things I had to do was write a poem about Ken. I could get the first few lines, and then it kept stopping and kept stopping. And it wasn't hard, like, emotionally. I knew what I wanted to say and stuff, but for some reason it was a difficult process. So I came up with one, and then I have a couple poems I wrote that I think could have been maybe influenced a little by Ken. But this is, the first one is Ken and my quirky view of things. The night Big Jim called to say Ken Brown had died, I was very conveniently coming down off the Jesus trip again, and hearing the background noise that sounded like Muzak on the elevator to hell, with Law and Order, SVU on mute. And when I got up to go to the bathroom, I remembered Ken putting his arm around me and saying, "You gotta hurt," and how we can work it out on the dashboard, and saying, "When the ship comes in harmony," and how, like my dad, he could rarely give me a ride because he only had his South City roots. And when he told me he was cool, but the Bible was a fairy tale, he let me tell him the God joke, how you walk into a room, and at the threshold you see everyone look up and smile, and their eyes are bright. They're on a very, very trip of laughing, waiting for you to come out, and you finally say, "You're God." And Ken thought either I was sane and he wasn't, or the opposite, or both, that I'd never try to sober him up. He had such a sing-song rhythm of doubt and letting go. Our affinity, where each blended into the other. And I slept for a while, and when I opened my eyes, the credits said on the TV, "Producer Kenneth Brown," which naturally I concluded was sinister. But now I think I think it might have been like the white feather of eternity floating from purgatory or somewhere better. And I'm awake now, and once again it's the day of the Lord. But I don't pray. I take some time off of that. And then I have a couple more that I wrote recently that I think Ken would have liked because of the sounds they used. Ken was a sing-song type poet. Beautiful, beautiful. The first thing about poetry anyone notices is how it sounds. And he had that down cold. So whenever he gave a reading, you got treated to just a symphony of different sounds, vowel sounds, alliteration and stuff. This one was called Negative Capability. It's getting pretty late now. You're going to have to quit thinking about witches. Outside, the wind is trying to stir things up, but everything's tied down too tight, too close to the ground. Tonight you will dream about belly flopping into a placid pool and spraying poolside 3 sunbathing beauties in bikinis. Don't look at them too closely. They're getting ready to change their minds. Ken always has some type of you looked at it and you're like, that's right, whatever he just said, Ken. This one's called Jericho, and it's a bombastic poem, you know, but I think Ken would have approved of it. After making out with 2 strippers and pops, and then throwing up all over the jukebox, I walked out onto the threshold of the crazy Tuesday morning sun and got into this cab with old Tiresias behind the wheel, and he scorched me with his big eyes in the rearview mirror. And as we were caught in rush hour on 40, he began to speak. Oh man, you are going down, dude. I am telling you all about the matrix, the primary process. You're going to burst the button on your shitty corduroys, and an orderly is going to tie them together with twine. Oh yeah. And all the signs that point to you. You think that's cool? You want to get ripped apart by hippies? You try telling someone outside the theater that you too have a beautiful mind. Your shirts are going to fall apart, down, down, where there is no sublimation, no distance at all. You're going to think you wish to be remembered. What I'm telling you right now, some old soldier is going to try to get you to kill yourself. You're going to give birth trauma. It's all going to be broken apart, demons or hypnosis, you decide. You're going to hear the Legion, because I can see the purgation laid out for you to see through it. Oh no. I woke at home and paid the man. My sister was making eggs. I felt like Joshua. I didn't nap. I was still. I was an agent. I was on a hill, elated. Thank you.